I'd like to muse for a second on the shifting of terminology that I've noticed over the last, what has it been, the last few months or the last couple of years? But I recall when I wrote my trilogy of works, uh, Ruminations of a Low Status Male, volumes 1, 2, and 3, I remembered back then that, talk about being high status and low status was how you referred to certain or this distinction of men who are wanted and men who are unwanted. The wanted ones are the ones who are spoken of as being high status, and the ones who are unwanted are the ones like me who are spoken of as being low status, and hence my work, Ruminations of a Low Status Male, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Well, what I've noticed lately, and this is what I've heard when I spoke about Kevin Samuels. It's a definition or a term that he refers to, and I've heard it from several other places as well. That they've stopped talking about status. Stopped talking about high status men, and now it's high value men. And I thought that was something that was worth remarking upon. I think maybe there's this understanding that the word status connotes, I don't know, something that isn't really, that doesn't necessarily stick. If you've got status, it's something that's been awarded to you, but it's not something that you just have. That's not just a part of you. And so somehow getting rid of high-status men and putting in instead high-value men, this makes it more seem like the same kind of men that they were talking about before are now being talked about in a different sort of way, as having a not just status, but having value. And the value, however, that they discuss is being conferred upon them in the same way that status was being conferred upon them before. So, there hasn't really been a shifting of definitions so much as a shifting of terms. And in so being, in this shifting of terms, there's been some, I believe, rhetorical skullduggery afoot. Now, that's a little dramatic to say, and I don't think most of the people who talk about high-value men or high-value women, more often, of course, it's high-value men that they talk about, because women are just presumed to have value just for being who they are. Men either have value or don't have value. And that's a product of the culture that we're living in today. But anyway, the same kind of men that were discussed as being high status before are now being discussed as being high value. To return to Kevin Samuels, I mean, I enjoy his videos, to a degree. And I pointed out some of the things in previous videos of mine. I pointed out how if the situations were reversed and some of the women that he was talking to, who had this estimation of themselves that was way beyond what was realistic. I pointed out in a prior video of mine where I put myself in the place of someone talking to someone like Kevin Samuels and saying, oh yeah, well, I'm 50 years old, I'm bald, I'm broke, but I'm a 10, and I will not accept anything other than a woman who is no older than 23 years old, with a great body and a great smile, and who's virtuous, and who is a virgin, but who looks like a runway model. And because I'm a 10 and I deserve the best, and I will not lower my standards. you know. The thing is that women who are the equivalent of me talk this way, and they just hear, "You go, girl. That's right. You deserve the best." But anyway, getting back to the high status, high value thing. Kevin Samuels did a video recently about Bill Gates' divorce, and referred to Bill Gates as a high value man. And I guess, like, yeah, the same way you could talk about any billionaire as being high value, if that is true, if wealth brings value, then wealth and power brings value. Then someone like Bill Gates is indeed high value. But so is someone like Jeffrey Epstein, right? I mean, he had wealth, he had status, he hobnobbed with all the big boys. So is he a high value man? I guess he was, until he didn't kill himself. You see the point that I'm making with all of this? Trying to talk about high status men, or trying to get rid of the term high status because it sounds shallow, because status sounds like something that is conferred in a kind of a willy-nilly kind of way, like anyone could get status if they just get lucky in life. But a high value man is someone who has, who inherently has this quality. Well, if you're talking about someone like Bill Gates as being high value, I mean someone who I think is despicable in pretty much every way imaginable, then this whole bait and switch with high status and high value doesn't hold much water. Now, it would be different if you were going to say, okay, the high value man isn't necessarily someone who makes a lot of money, or who's a CEO, or who wears 3-piece suits everywhere and looks dapper and is a lady killer. But a high value man can be someone who, I don't know, who's some vagabond who roams the streets, preaching the word of God. A high value man can be someone who's living in destitution, but who is fighting to do the right thing and to improve the lives of others, and to make the world a better place, or what have you. But I haven't seen much of that. I haven't seen the talk of this attempt to replace high status with high value. And I feel like I have some stake in all of this, since I wrote what I did. My volume, my trilogic volume, Ruminations of a Low Status Male, volumes 1, 2, and 3. I feel that after I wrote those works, the term high status, the term low status, in some way, amongst some circles, amongst certain types of people, a certain clique, a certain demographic, they more or less in some way attach themselves to the vibe I was going for in those works that I wrote, those nonfiction works that I wrote. So I feel that I have some stake in seeing this bait and switch happen, where people don't refer to men as being high or low status anymore. They refer to them as being high or low value, which gives off this impression that, oh, well, now we're talking about a different kind of distinction. Now we're talking about a distinction that really matters. Now we're making a distinction between good men and bad men. Well, Kevin Samuels just talked about how Bill Gates, had an affair because high value men always have options. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's really talking about men. Someone about high value men as being synonymous with good men. Maybe others mean something different when they are using the term high value men. But the fact is, it is being used more, and it seems like its usage is in some way a reaction against the prior usage of high status men. But if you're just going to change up the terms, but then basically not change anything else about what you're talking about, then you're basically just saying the same thing. It's all semantics. So I just wanted to point out that this was happening, and point out that what I'm saying, unless you really want to shuffle the deck and say we need to stop focusing so much on status, we need to stop seeking status, we need to stop coveting status, we need to stop pursuing validation, all the things that I was preaching in my books, as well as in Confessions of a Would-Be Wanker. I guess I'm dropping my titles here, which you can find at altrightnovelist.com. But anyhow, it seems to me that if you're not going to change it up in any way that really is that really has value, that really is of value, then talking about high value men as opposed to high status men is just something that sounds better. But you're it's like it's putting lipstick on that same pig, isn't it? Or am I wrong? Let me know if I am. My name's Andy Nowicki. Again, you can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com.